Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? I hope a lot of you have been able to kick your habit or at least get through that first withdrawal since the last video I made. A lot's happened to me since then. Look where I am. I'm from Chicago, and I kind of had a spiritual awakening recently, and I moved to the desert for the fuck of it. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing out here, but I want to tell you guys about my ayahuasca experience and my experience using DMT during withdrawal. Um, Ayahuasca is something that like you can't even bring up in an NA class. Like I've been kicked out before for bringing this up, so apparently this is a controversial subject. I know the whole rehab like NA crowd likes to lump a lot of things in the same category. That includes people. They try to lump everyone together and get them off drugs in the same way as if everyone has the same type of addiction, same type of personality. They lump drugs together like weed, and you could be in rehab with a guy, you know, smoking weed. They get caught with his parents, and you're, you know, busy shooting up heroin. So their system has about a 90% failure rate if you take into effect that 90% of people that go to rehab will relapse, especially when you're dealing with opiates. So I don't know what other company or what other system could exist so long and make so much fucking money like they do and have such a failure rate. So it kind of bothers me that this is a controversial subject, but I don't really give a fuck. Um, what I did was I got in touch with a shaman, and this was, I think, in June or July. And my cousin was having a bachelor party, and me and him kind of fell into addiction together, and also like helped each other get out of it. And we've both been off of heroin for, you know, more than a year. And I don't keep count, but I think it's 2 years, maybe 2.5 years since I've done heroin. And we both kind of went through the same journey together. And so I was the best man in his wedding, and at his bachelor party, we had a real shaman come out and give us an ayahuasca ceremony. I don't know how he got a hold of the materials, and don't ask me how, because I don't know if it's illegal or I have no idea. But I would highly suggest it to anyone. If you have just recently, you know, gone through withdrawal and gotten clean and you're still having cravings, or I don't care if you're a year deep, I don't care if you've never done heroin, this is something that anyone could benefit from, to go into that realm where ayahuasca brings you. And let me try to explain it. I know a lot of you are probably familiar and you've read the stories, and it's a pretty similar tale. I took the ayahuasca. I threw up like, you know, for hours. It felt like, I think it was probably only like a half hour, but it felt like an eternity. So it kind of seemed like to me like you go through a sort of hell and you purge, and you're vomiting from deep into your gut. And some people didn't throw up, but they purged in other ways, and I'll get to that. But you throw up, you know, at least for me, I threw up everything, like, and it looked black, and everything was just black, and looked just like death. And the hallucinations, once you start throwing up, your blood pressure starts your heart starts beating, and it starts pumping that DMT, and the other ingredient is an MAOI. It inhibits the absorption of DMT. So if you just ate a plant with DMT in it, it would have no effect. You have to mix it with this other plant. So it got all those juices flowing, and I started tripping pretty hard. And you know, I saw a lot of visions of just like hideous creatures with like needles coming out of them, and I just realized how much my addiction had really made my soul suffer. And I saw what that was with my own eyes. I saw the hideousness of the addiction, and what it turned me into from what I once was. You know, I was living at a recording studio at the time of my deepest heroin addiction, and I was just selling so much so much weed at the time and making money, so everything felt all right. And I didn't even record while I was there. That was like my childhood dream. If someone would have told me as a kid that I would be in a recording studio, like one of the most famous ones in Chicago, like living there and had the opportunity to record for free, I wouldn't believe it. That was my childhood dream come true, and I let it go to waste. So I had been living with all these regrets, and it was holding me back from life. Like when I made that last video, I was just sitting, in my apartment, just sitting in my room, like kind of, sulking, and I felt like I needed to reach out and try to help people because I had gotten through some major shit at that point. But there's still a lot going on. I mean, you can tell, I watched that video today and just tell by the look in my face that, I wasn't quite back to being like mentally, spiritually healthy. So during the trip, I had, many of the experiences that you classically hear about, the patterns, but that's really not what was important about it to me. What was important to me was you really purge and you go and you delve through the issues of everything in your life. You remember stuff from when you were a kid that you didn't even think affects you, but shit that affected you deeply. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to have been physically or sexually abused, although a lot of heroin addicts have abuse in their past. You don't have to have that to have trauma in your life. I think a lot of addicts in general are traumatized and they don't even know it. So I was going through all these traumas while I was going through my trip, and kind of at the end, as like the sun started coming up in the morning, like just this feeling came over me of, wow, like I have been here so many times. I kept repeating to myself two things. One was, I fear nothing, so nothing fears me. There's nothing to be afraid of if nothing fears you. If you're not out to hurt anyone or manipulate anyone in this world, you have nothing to fear. And another one was, Spirit. This is kind of hippie and silly, so sorry, but this really helped me when I was going through like the hellish visions. I started saying, Spirit, bird, you've seen this all before. You've been here before. You've seen this. My spirit is eternal, and it's impossible to go through this experience and not believe that the spirit exists. I dare anyone that questions whether or not we have souls, I dare them to try ayahuasca and tell me you don't have a soul, or that your spirit doesn't move on after death. Try and tell me that. I mean, I dare you. What I can say is that the trip, I don't even call it a trip. It was medicine. The medicine really helped me and really was a catalyst to light the fire under me. It got me motivated. I sold all my possessions. I moved out to the middle of Socorro, New Mexico. Look at this beautiful dog. This is my roommate's dog. I'm going to try to help as many people as I can, and the experience really woke me up to that desire. And I think a lot of us addicts, we need to go out and help people and get out of our own heads, because I know for myself, I sat around just thinking about it for like 2 years, even when I was off of it, just thinking, just living in my head and not living in this beautiful world that we have. And there's so many things to see. There's so many things that you guys can do. You look into history, some of our greatest people were drug addicts. Some of our greatest poets and authors and comedians and actors, the people we all loved and that brought happiness to our lives, they suffered through the same thing that we are. So I think addicts have so much potential. And another brief thing I wanted to mention is that through one of my withdrawals, I went through so many, man. I put myself through torture. I smoked about 1 gram of pure DMT. And I suggest ayahuasca over DMT because DMT is way too short acting. You get launched into outer space and you're surrounded by aliens, and like 2 minutes later you're back to Earth, and it's kind of too much all at once. But what I can say is that was one of the easiest withdrawals I ever had. Was I was smoking DMT during the withdrawal, and it kind of reset my brain like I've heard ibogaine does. And if anyone gets the opportunity and has the bravery to do it while they're going through withdrawal, it helped me, and that's all I can say, is that it seemed to reset my brain. I've also tripped on mushrooms during a withdrawal, and that was an experience. if you guys are interested, I can delve into this stuff forever. But I just kind of wanted to make a short video and tell you guys that, you know, ayahuasca is not the same thing as heroin. It's not a bad, evil drug. It is a medicine, and it has its uses. And look into it, guys. I mean, that's all I can say. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment. And I'm gonna stay more active with this little whatever YouTube channel. And I'm out there. If you guys need help, get at me. I want to help people, and I need to. And I think every addict that gets off of this stuff needs to start helping people and get out of your own head and start helping people get to where you are if you're feeling better. And thanks for listening to my ramblings, guys. See ya.